Welcome back. Episode 29 of the Full Programme Golf Podcast with me, Josh Conlon, and as ever, Stevie McAvoy. Today is a bit of a bonus episode, bit of a shorter episode, and we're going to talk about the week in golf. Lots going on. Let's get right into it. Stevie, how are we?
Joshua, very good to see you again. How are you over on the west coast of Ireland?
You know what? The weather has been behaving so far. We've had a couple of spots around. I mean, we'll get into the golf later in the episode, but I had a very vivid recollection of the Turnberry morning when I was waking up to go and play Carn with the rain just beating against the windows and the side of the house. But no, I won't want to make too many spoilers, but it's stopped. And yeah, you know what? Loving it. What a great part of the world.
Yeah, do you know what? You're the bravest man I may have ever met. You've clocked a double header, a Scotland March trip and a west coast of Ireland March trip. I mean, you must love your golf, dear boy.
Yeah, I'm an absolute golfing pervert, aren't I, with that? But yeah. Hardy Northerners. The weather didn't put me off in Scotland. I don't think it ever can. So we go again.
Proper Sheffield still. So I tell you what, I still feel like I'm in recovery mode from Scotland. Now, I spoke on the last pod about the move to the slightly thinner duvet. I'll be honest, 2 nights in, chopped it in. I'm back in the winter, and I'm going to be for the foreseeable, to be honest, because I just feel like the core body temperature may have just nudged it down a little bit from those 4 or 5 days up in Scotland. And I was out at RMS on Sunday. First time I've seen it in a couple of weeks. I think you played it last week. It's actually looking pretty damn good at the moment. It was first round I've played with the back 9 bunkers in play. Thought they were looking really, really smart. I mean, walking down 17, kind of from the top of the hill there, bunkering looked absolutely superb. So I was really impressed with the golf course. However, it just started raining and blowing around the turn. And I looked at my friend Al and I said to him, like, we weren't playing for anything. It was me and him. We'd been out the night before. I was getting cold. I was getting wet and I wasn't prepared for it at all. All of my rain gear didn't go back in the bag from drying out after Scotland. And I just looked at him and I was just like, what are we doing? Like, I don't need to go play these 8 further holes. Played a bit of a game. He was like, if I hit the fairway, can we carry on? I went, fine. First fairway hit all day, basically. So off we marched down 11 or 12, whatever it is. And as we're doing it, I am going for the brolly because in Scotland it was so windy. The brolly didn't even make an appearance. And I was just battling against it. And then one of my things snapped on the brolly. And I literally said to him, I was just like, we're going up 13, we're going across the 17, and we're going in. I was just like, I've had enough. So I've had 2 walk-ins now in the last 2, one at Hillside, one at RMS, both of which the course is looking good in both cases. But yeah, I need some decent weather this afternoon at Knoll Park. I tell you that much for free.
Yeah, you're gaining a bit of a reputation, aren't you? That's and not unwarranted. Just walking in off golf courses. People go to see courses. You go to find out what's the best walking, what's got the best service from the walking perspective. But I just want to dive into the duvet piece for a second, if I may.
Please.
What I'm learning from you is that you're a bit of a Christian Horner with the duvet. You chop, you change your drivers sooner than needed, sooner than expected. Mm-hmm. And maybe you're stuck with the bit of a Yuki Tsunoda situation where, you know what, you're just going to have to sit with the warmer cover, even into the warmer months, and just accept that you've made an error, and it's time to deal with it.
Yeah. Well, disappointed myself. I think we're just going to leave it at that all round. And we've branded you early as hardened Sheffield still. I'm not even pretending to be. Never have, never will. So yeah, but excited about RMS. It's looking good.
It is looking good. It's starting to take shape. And talking about people who maybe need to have a word with themselves, maybe that's a nice segue to move into some of the biggest golfing news of the last week. The man who can't stop crashing cars, Tiger Woods. If he could drive as well as he putted, wow, he'd have had a much easier life.
I can't believe it. It's just like, what are we talking about? The news filtered through on the boys' golf WhatsApp group first. And I was just like, surely not. Surely not. How much
The
money
news
is the
filtered
man?
through that quickly. The news filtered through that quickly that I was sure one of the boys was in the back. I couldn't believe how quick it came through.
Yeah, he was taking the picture on the side of the road. Let me give you a scenario. You're on the side of a road in Florida and you turn a corner and there is an upturned Range Rover Sport. And on the side is a sheepish looking Eldrick Woods on the blower to, who's his agent? Agent Steenberg, isn't it? Steinberg? That's the fella that's just dealt with him all over the years. He's on the phone going, mate, we've got a problem here. Are you clipping the photo and sending it to TMZ, or are you just gonna like absorb the situation? Are you gonna go in and check if he was all right, ask for an autograph? Like, what's your play there if that's what you see when you turn the corner?
It's a great question, and obviously I can't condone blackmail on the podcast. But what I would do is I'd certainly say take some pictures. I'd certainly get some ammo that, you know what, maybe I could use. Maybe I could use to get a game of golf with Tiger. Maybe I could use to get on Augusta with Tiger. I don't know. Don't condone blackmail, but hey, this is all a theoretical question, right? I'm answering it theoretically. No one come after me for this. But I think that's the play. And if you're not doing that, and obviously you get a little autograph off him, and you just enjoy it, don't you? You just get in there, get right in his grill, and just don't give him the piece that he needs.
Absolutely.
Get into it. But obviously, like every road crash in Florida, it's more than 50-50 that Tiger's going to be involved. So, you've kind of got a pretty good chance that he's going to be there.
You could be like, do you ever watch Bounty Hunters back in the day where they used to just get tips and they just like head to a location? You're just like roaming around Florida. Yes, that's it. You're just roaming around Florida, just be like, there's an accident on the south side. There he is. But it just does bring into question. I suppose we have questioned before over time in history, but like Tiger must just be under it all an absolute lunatic, because four serious crashes. You're just like, what are you doing, mate? What are you doing? And it certainly puts the Masters in doubt if it wasn't already.
Yeah, you'd have thought when he nearly lost his leg that he'd have maybe been a bit more careful, and he can afford a driver. But clearly, he loves the game. You just got to drive to survive. They coined the wrong documentary. It should have just been on Tiger Woods. He really, you'd like to think that he'd have got a driver post nearly losing his leg. That didn't quite work. You'd like to think he'd now get a driver, because he's clearly battling something, right? And he's had that many operations. He's probably in crazy amounts of pain, and so has to have pain meds and whatever else. That it's just clearly not working with his system, and it's clearly not good for his driving. Or let's just say maybe it's nothing. Maybe he's just a crazy driver and he just likes flipping cars. Either way, it's not. It's time to just pack in the driving. But actually, I think more to the question is going to be, I don't think he'll be at the Masters now as a result of this, but will that impact his Ryder Cup captaincy? That we know he's not been announced yet, but he's pretty much odds on if he wants it. He's going to be leading the team, the US team at Adair. With all the publicity that's currently surrounded him, now don't get me wrong, he's not hit anyone. No one has got injured other than probably himself a little bit. It doesn't sound like it's too bad. Is it news that the PGA of America could do without? Yes, of course. Is that going to be maybe something that they then pivot to someone else and try when it's subsided a bit in a couple of years, assuming he doesn't flip another car in that time, give him the captaincy at that point? Who knows? That's going to be quite an interesting thing to see, because Donald's already been announced, so they've got to announce a captain soon. Will that impact it?
Here's a question to you. If you were a historically successful, historically competitive sportsman golfer, in this case, like Tiger, would you be accepting an away Ryder Cup captaincy?
I'd want the home captaincy for sure, but knowing Tiger, maybe he wants to do it different. Well, I don't know Tiger, but knowing like what we know about Tiger, like maybe he wants to do it different. Maybe he's got a really good relationship with JP McManus, hasn't he? Who owns
no, he
there,
has.
so maybe that's a play.
And you know McManus is desperate for him to take it because of what the circus that will come with it. Yeah, I actually really like I'm kind of a tiny bit surprised Donald took the third one because I actually really like the formula and it makes a lot of sense to me that you start a captain at home, build ethos, build way of workings, get the win as history would, normally show, and then you take that momentum on into a second captaincy to kind of try and summit Everest, if you will, which is win the away Ryder Cup. Like that to me makes a huge amount more sense than new captains each time. I suppose it's probably down to the captains because like Donald essentially has just shelved his playing career to do this for the last half decade.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think that's a really good shout. I think that would be, you're signing up for like a presidency, aren't you? A 4-year term.
Literally.
I think that'd be really good. I think it'd be really interesting to see, and maybe you do it so that you battle two different captains. So it's not like US and Europe. For example, if Keegan Bradley started now and did another one, Donald would have only played Bradley and Bradley. Whereas if Donald had done his two and someone fresh was coming to Adair, then everyone starts at home. So you get like your battle. So Donald would play Bradley once, and then he would have played
100%.
Zach Johnson as well. That sort of vibe. So you get a bit of everything. I think that'd be quite cool. I think it's another even more so since Live Golf. Especially in Europe, a lot of those prospective captains, whilst ever it's a little bit up in the air, which of course it still is, are now not going to be captains. So we've got a smaller pool to pick from. Your Stensons, who obviously had it and lost it, your Westwoods, Poulters, McDowell, Keimer, all of these guys who, Garcia, of course, all these guys who would have been the next 10, 12 years worth of captains have gone for now. So I think that idea of giving someone 4 years, and I agree with you. I was very surprised to see Donald go again. And I think that, obviously I hope we win, of course we do, but he's done it. He's won at home. He's won away. Is that burning appetite going to be there again? Like the white hot need to win? I don't know. But I think the 4-year term's a really good thing.
And you look back at someone who immediately springs to mind. I'd imagine that Podrog was probably quite a good captain. Man about details, all the rest of it, and he ultimately went away and got pasted, but like it was kind of stacked against him. So, I'd love to see him.
Yeah, crap team as well.
Yeah, it's a shame. I think he goes down in history as a one and done losing Ryder Cup captain, which I think is a little bit unfair. Just to conclude on the Tiger stuff, I did see someone post and they were like, "How amazing would it be in 20 years' time if Tiger signed off on like a exposal documentary series?" And someone laid it out, and he was just like, "This should be the episodes." It was like you'd do an episode on the 3 consecutive junior US AMs, an episode on 3 consecutive US AMs, an episode on turning pro, 97 Masters, 99 Ryder Cup, and then you do Tiger Slam, and then you do like 2002 to 2005 where he won a boatload. Then you do the next thing, then you do the crash and the scandal, then you do like the recovery and the 19 Masters, and I was like, we're almost in for a 10-part documentary series here. I mean, that would just be electric.
It would be electric. And Michael Jordan essentially got one, didn't he, with The Last Dance, 10-parter. You're not telling me Tiger Woods is any smaller superstar than Michael Jordan is. And yeah, I agree. I think that would be watched far and wide. It would be incredibly interesting. Final thing to say, I'm just so glad he's not hurt anyone or himself, because like it would be an absolute travesty if he ended up hitting someone and killing someone.
Yeah.
Maybe he's going to prison, and that really does ruin a legacy that no one wants to see. It's Tiger Woods. It's all of our like childhood heroes, like the guy who has brought golf to what it is. And so I'm glad that we can sit here and tongue in cheek have a bit of a laugh about it, and everyone can kind of have a laugh about it and talk about, oh, will he get the Ryder Cup captaincy? Well, I'm glad that that's the extent of the worry, and not, has he lost another leg? Has he killed someone else? Is he dead? So that's sort of where I think that I'm really glad that's where we're at.
Amen to that. Yeah, I like that, and I think that's a good way to put a bow on it. All right, let's segue into some golf this week. A couple of really interesting winners either side of the pond.
Yeah, we're going to have to start with the Sheffield Steel, the talent that's coming out of there. Alex Fitz, what a win! First win, I think 82 starts, 86 starts, something around that sort of mark. Sort of like first brothers to win back to back, with Matt obviously winning the Valspar that we covered on the last pod. We talked briefly about the golf course. That is a absolutely ridiculously hard golf course by the looks of it. Did you see the worst score per hole and what that would have been? It would have been like 128 that the guys would have scored on day one. Yeah, was so interesting. And you could see that when Chikara started just sort of blowing up a bit, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had a look down the final leaderboard, and the drop off from his winning score to like 15th place, who I think was back at level +1 or something like that, was alarming. Like that golf course clearly beat everyone up for a couple of days, and for him to shoot a couple under, to take it to win what looked like quite comfortably, and like I said, really was so far ahead about the rest of the pack. I thought was great. I really enjoyed his interview afterwards. Like, you know, it clearly meant something, and he was super happy. And so, yeah, definitely one for the good guys, and one that's kind of quite close to home for us, which is nice. And saw a lot of the Sheffield boys kind of posting stuff on the Instagram stories and kind of supporting their friend, their lad that they've grown up with, which I thought was really nice. A question for you. You mentioned just there, it's back-to-back wins by brothers on major tours. Is that the best 2-week stretch ever by a set of brothers? I suppose it probably is, by that stat alone.
It's a tough question, isn't it? Because, you know, instantly my head goes to the Molinaris, and you go, what have they done back to back? Because, you know, at this stage, they've obviously, you know, you've got two major winners in Matt and Francesco. And then as things stand, Eduardo, obviously a Ryder Cup player, has won multiple times on tour, is ahead of Alex, of course. I mean, we're talking much older. There has to be, you know, you'd argue back to back, a better week for brothers would be Eduardo Molinari winning in Scotland to get the spot in the Ryder Cup, and then the Ryder Cup that we won at Celtic Manor.
Yeah.
You know, that's in 2012. That for me is right up there. I mean, it's not really on an individual level, because obviously they went on and won as a team and didn't particularly have the best individual Ryder Cups. You know, Eduardo Molinari famously 4 up 4 to play against Ricky Fowler, halved in the singles, and Francesco lost. I couldn't carve. No, I think he halved actually. I think against Tiger Woods, didn't he? Because he then played Tiger again in the Miracle at Medina, and got a half with him again. So, like, okay-ish. They played together, didn't really do too much. But I would say that off the top of my head, if I was a set of brothers, I'd want the Ryder Cup in the Ryder Cup than 2 individual wins. But it's nevertheless sensational performance. And I was looking at his stats, Alex, and last year I think he was about 193rd in driving accuracy, and at the moment this season he's 6th. Wow. That says it all. And we're talking about how difficult, and that boy hits the ball absolutely miles, like cannon, absolute cannon. Completely different game to Matt, which is, it's always really interesting to see two brothers with completely different styles and different games. But I wouldn't have thought that that was a golf course that would have suited him, given how tight it is and how far he hits the ball. But clearly that stat, you know, from 193rd to 6th, doing something right. And if that continues, he's going to have a really, really solid, good season. And you can't get back against him winning again, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is that we got a real good insight, didn't we, in that first season of Full Swing, where you've got Matt, the older brother, calculated, a bit more nerdy, I suppose, or as Alex seems, a bit more of a free spirit, and, you know, his game also suits his personality as well. And Yeah, Alex was always he was the lad caddying for his brother when he won the US Am. He was the young lad on the side at the US Open. He was the brother in the Full Swing documentary. And so to come out with this really big win, I think this is a good one to get on the DP World Tour. I thought it was fantastic. And I don't know if you saw it. Basically, Alex tweeted when Matt won the US Open, something along the lines of like, Matt US Open champion, like how cool's that kind of thing. And Matt flipped that exact statement round and tweeted out, Alex DP World Tour winner. How cool is that? And I really, really like that.
I think it's great to see brothers that get on so well, and clearly they do. And I think it's fair to say that a lot of people will be really happy to see Alex forging his own sort of career in golf and creating headlines himself, because he has been so gracious. As a younger brother, he could have been a really jealous younger brother about what Matt's success is, and don't get me wrong, Matt's given him opportunities, but he genuinely is excited for his brother. He genuinely is proud of Matt, and he's genuinely there to be excited and support him and celebrate with him. And yeah, for Matt to flip that back, sorry, voice is going a little bit. For Matt to flip that back and to genuinely have that excitement back just shows a lovely family unit, and I think that's really great. And another great story in golf, which at the moment we're pretty rife for really, really good stories. We're talking about good stories. The other winner, Gary Woodland, that's just brilliant.
Yeah, it was, and do you know what? It's the Full Swing series has aged really well, because we obviously had the Fitzpatrick dynamic, and so I think Alex probably had a bit more global notoriety than he would have otherwise because of that feature. And I think it was in the same series that they did an episode on Gary Woodland, and so again, his battles with brain surgery and the recovery from that have been pretty well documented. And that he came back after his medical exemption and struggled with energy levels and all the rest of it. And so to see him back in the winner's circles on the PGA Tour now, normally it's a bit of a kind of lull 2 weeks, isn't it, between what's gone and now the Masters on the horizon. But a really good feel-good story. Someone who had a big lead on Sunday, and I did look at it and think, I wonder if we're going to have another one of those chats about someone kind of whittling it away. But it didn't happen. Won really quite comprehensively in the end, and another just incredibly big feel-good story.
Yeah, and what a golfer, US Open champion. I think he could have been a professional baseball player. I think he's just a talented sportsman across the board. It was something I read. I might have got it wrong with baseball. It could have been basketball. It was certainly another big...
basketball. He's a good basketball player.
Yeah, another big US sport. So, really talented bloke. Came across again as a really nice guy. Now, I know that it's a series and we see that, and you see the best of them, but you don't always get a feel for people. And what he's gone through, what his family have gone through, to keep plugging away, to scrap it back, and to again win on the PGA Tour is magic. It's absolutely sensational. I think it's fair to say no one was rooting against him. Even probably the Højgaard family were like, you know what? If it's not going to be Nicolai, then sound like Gary Woodland's comes across like a great bloke. Two very good winners, and talking about Nicolai Højgaard, great to see him continuing on his upward trajectory following a couple of poor years after the Ryder Cup at Marcus Simone. Keeps his spot in the Masters, and you know what? I think he's going to do well in the Masters. And we had a little bit of a stat-packed tip session last time out. I think Nicolai Højgaard is going to finish inside the top 15. You heard it here first.
Nice, like that. We're just fountains of Masters information at the moment, which I love to see. Just to conclude on Woodland, as you said, I think his talent is somewhat undermined sometimes, but you look back, like he's won some big events, obviously that US Open, which I believe was at Pebble, like an iconic, obviously, venue to win it. And he has been one of my favourite players to watch actually hit the ball in the last kind of decade or so. His ability to just hit just like laser 2 irons out there, control his ball flight. He's a seriously talented golfer. And so yeah, as I said, really happy to see him win that. And obviously he'll be at the Masters as well, which will be great to see. Obviously,
Sorry, just gonna say one spot to go. Valero, Texas, always interesting. I remember when Poulter won it a good few years ago. He beat Bo Hostler, didn't he, in the playoff? And yeah, one spot to go. Who's gonna get it?
I was going to ask you, do you remember who he beat in the playoff? And there you go. You just had it straight away. Bo Hostler's actually been an interesting one because he made, I believe, several major appearances as an amateur. Like I remember quite clearly Bo Hostler, the amateur. Not a player that's kind of really kicked on in any major regard since turning pro. He's kind of just nobbled around, kind of bottom end of the PGA Tour. I don't think, he hasn't won yet. And so that playoff was, his biggest career moment probably thus far.
Yeah, but when you wear an oversized visor, you don't deserve to be anywhere near the winning circle. So that's how it is, really. Wear a cap, grow up.
We're not going to get you an advisor.
At one point, you might have done when I was young and a big Ian Poulter fan, but
yeah,
no, not anymore. Not an oversized one that actually fits as well. Like you've got those like the fat oversized ones that
I think the oversized
almost open the sunroof.
I think the oversized ones are better than the other ones. I think the Ian Poulter one's the biggest crime going.
They're all heinous. You've opened the sunroof just like you've lost your hair. Just leave it. Leave it there.
So obviously, one of our main sections of the last episodes, we did just dive into some master stuff. You obviously read that stat out, and then we ran through the players. Now that's got a lot of back and forth online, which has been great to see. It's been interesting to see what the thoughts and the feelings of the general public has been, and kind of a bit on review. Now I know someone like Gotterup was in that list. Now Gotterup's making his debut at the Masters. Like again, I'm not sure I can see him actually taking the jacket, but I think he probably play well. I've been seeing Marco Penge being thrown around in quite a lot of comments. Again, like not really sure. Like he's one got the experience or two got the form. Bryson obviously is a big one. Now, obviously the stat that you read must have included live players because Rahm was in it. I remember, but. Obviously,
DeChambeau
lots of people fancying Bryson. Was DeChambeau in it? I don't think he was he?
I'm sure he was. Let me bring up my Bible.
But lots of love for DeChambeau. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting. We're not far away at the moment. One more spot to go. Valero this week. Have you got any picks for the Valero? Who do you think that last spot's going to go to?
It's good. It's a good question. You're right, sorry, as well. Bryson wasn't in that group, which is very interesting because he's been playing well. So, yeah, those that have said Bryson, of course. But it's like saying, I think Man City or Arsenal are going to win this weekend. Like, it's like, all right, well, you've not really gone off the beaten track, have you? Who do I think is going to win at the Valero? Now, that's a really good question because I actually don't know who isn't already in the Masters. Who do I quite like? That's a really good question. Well, I'm going to go with either our boy Dan Brown. He's going to turn it around if he's playing, or Jordan Smith. I'm going to keep it now, or Marco Penge even. I think he's already in the Masters anyway. But I'm going to keep it at home. I think it's going to be a homegrown, ball striking talent that's going to take home the Valero. And maybe, if you've already got a spot in the Masters, we'll just slot that down to number 2. Let's go with that.
Love it. All right. Let's leave it with this. Bit of golf going on this week. Where have you been? Where are you heading to? I know we're going to do a proper chop up episode either next week or the week after. But like I said, you're in Ireland, so just give us a flavour of what tracks you're seeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am based in Westport at the moment. Beautiful town, really good crack, really good vibe around here. Which I would say is in the County Mayo, and you've flown into Knock Airport, and almost you've then gone north. So we're almost on that Wild Atlantic Way north perspective. So we've gone north, and I've played Cairn on Sunday, which is the 9th ranked course in Ireland. And spoiler alert, it's bloody brilliant, but we'll get into that next time. And then I've got Enniscrone lined up, and then I'm going south to Trump Doonbeg to check that place out. Probably where I am now would be nearer to going north and going to sort of Narran, Portneuf, Rosapenna, Ballyliffin, that sort of way. But just for the purposes of this trip and bit of a bonus golfing trip, we're going south, nipping into into Doonbeg and then popping back. So 3 courses to review when we get back. How about yourself? I know you've got some golf lined up.
Well, sorry, just before we jump on to me, I mean, it just begs the question. Any further communication with the Donalds? Just letting him know, heading to Doonbeg this week. Like, I am going to get there. Okay, that's not a problem. But a free upgrade or anything like that would be really good. I mean, I imagine you're on first name terms at this point after the Scotland episode.
Yeah, we've moved off Instagram now. We're on WhatsApp, so just keeping it clean, keeping it honest. Just letting him know. Just getting a few back and forth pics on the Valero as well. We don't even need to talk about accommodation. We're just boys in it now. So yeah.
And I assume you're just like, Donald, grass coverage on the 14th tee box needs a bit of work. Just let the team know. And he's like, hey, Josh, love the insight. Thanks so much.
Exactly that. Loving what you're doing with the course, loving what you're doing overall. Just keeping that sort of similar vibe moving forward from the original meta that we had. But yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be another Trump's Day and an ocean view restaurant on top. Beautiful.
Very nice. Well, I'm off golfing this afternoon. I am playing Knoll Park, which is a English ranked golf course, not somewhere I necessarily had on my radar particularly, but it looks very nice. And so I can jump in the car shortly, get out there, and we will see what that's got to offer.
Well, fingers crossed on the weather for you. Always impacts the experience.
I'm not going to be allowed to walk off on this one, so yeah, we will play 18 holes, I promise.
Pack your waterproofed.
Yes, and I will do that. All right, Joshy, good to catch up. And we'll look forward to a good chop up of the Ireland trip in the next episode. We are Full Program Golf, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and we will see you in the next one.